Hello friends, welcome to my channel Clinical Biochemistry by Dr. P.K. Prabhakar. Today we are going to talk about kidney stones, and commonly we are calling it calculi also. If you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it so that and press the bell button so that you will get all the notifications. So first we should understand what is kidney and what is its function. So if you see, kidney is one of the mm, very important organ of our body, which is involved in not only for the excretory purpose, but there are a number of other functions also, another number of other physiological roles kidney is playing, such as kidney going to secrete some of the hormones. Like one of the important hormone is renin, which renin is involved in renin angiotensin systems, and it regulates blood pressures. So it secretes number of hormones also. Second most important function of kidney is it excretes metabolic waste product from our body. So it removes all the undesirable, unwanted substances from our body. It also helps in the drug metabolism and their excretion, their removal from our body. So drug metabolism and removal portions will be done. It also regulates the maintenance of solutes, fluids, acids, base in our body. So whenever we are drinking too much of water, means whenever we are having too much of fluids in our body, kidney releases maximum amount of water by the regulatory systems. There are some regulatory systems which is under the control of some of the hormonal systems, other functions like ADH is one of the hormones which regulates the fluid control or water level in our body. So kidney involves in those fluid or solute regulations there also. Whenever body is having either acidic condition or acidosis type of situations or alkalosis type of situation, in that case body removes some of the acids or ammonia or H plus ions and maintain acid base balance in our body, so that body pH will be, most of the time it will be maintained at normal 7.2 to 7.4 pH. It also regulates, because it regulates the solutes and fluids acid, so by this it also regulates our blood pressure controls. So that is these are some of the important function. Kidney is one of the most important, you can call it, which involves in either excretion also, synthesis also, maintenance also, homeostasis also. So kidney is having multiple functions. If not mentioned here, kidney is also going to involve in the vitamin D synthesis. One of the step of vitamin D synthesis occurs in kidney, so there also it helps. Now if you see, the kidney is one of the organ of our excretory systems. Our excretory system is composed of number of organs, number of components. One of the important component is kidney. Then it is having some tube like a structure that is called a ureter. Ureter collects urine from the kidney and then release it into the urinary bladder. Urine from the urinary bladder, it goes through the urethra and passes into the penis and excretory system. So it removes from our body. So these are the components of our kidney. Kidney blood is going to be purified there. Blood is going to be filtered there. So there are two things which blood is coming and going from the kidney. So they are renal artery we are having, then we are having interior vena cava. So these are the number of blood capillaries also we are having. So blood is going to be filtered there. If you'll see the anatomical structures of kidney, in that case, if you'll see the cross section of the kidney is having number of pyramid-like structures, cone-like structures, which is called as pyramids. So external portion of the kidney is called as cortical regions. So these are cortex, and inner portions is called as medullary regions. So in the medullary regions, urine will be filtered, blood is going to be filtered in the cortical regions mainly, and it will be collected cycle at the junction of in the medullary regions. There we are having all the urine which is collected from there. It will be passed through the ureter and goes to the urinary bladder. Now this pyramid portions here. So these are the different places, different locations of the kidney. if you see the stone formations, so kidney stone, or it is also called as renal calculi, it are solid mass which is made up of crystals. It is depositions of solid salts in the different places, different locations of the kidney. So what are kind of the different locations? The locations can be renal tubules, ureter, urinary bladder, renal calyces, or pelvis. Usually it originates in our kidney, but it can develop at different other places of portion also. Like if you say, so kidney is going formation starts in the kidney, but it can occurs at different locations. Locations can be either it will be in this pyramidal portions, or it will be in the urinary bladder, sorry, ureter, or it can be at the urinary bladder. So locations can vary depending on the size of the stones and the different other situations. So the conditions, one is we are calling nephrolithiasis, which is renal stone disease, and urolithiasis is the presence of a stone in the urinary systems. So these are the two different words which we should remember it. That is nephrolithiasis, that is the renal stone disease, a disease. Lithiasis, whenever we are talking, it means it is a disease, it is abnormality. So nephrolithiasis is a renal stone disease, and urolithiasis is a disease where stones is present into the urinary systems. So the kidney stone is composed of, normally it is a composed from metabolic waste after the filtration. So present in the glomerular filter called the kidney stones by metabolic waste products. If kidney stones will be very small, it will be passed through the urine. If it will be little bit large, which cannot be passed through the stone, it will be collected, or it will be in between some of the places. So depending on its location, it can cause pain, it can cause nausea, vomiting, hematuria, means blood into the urine, and possibly chills and fever due to secondary infections as well. So these are the different signs and symptoms which can cause because of kidney stones. This kidney stone, because urine, if it will be going to block some of the urine passes, so urine will not be passed out, and it will be, bladder will have a very intense pain. So it is known to be one of the most painful medical condition, because it will be unbearable pain will be there. This kidney stone can be diagnosed on the basis of urine analysis. We can have some kind of biochemical analysis. You can collect urine and do some biochemical analysis, and radiological imaging, like non-invasive, non-contrast helical computer tomographic CT scanning. Its treatment will be, because pain will be there, so it can be treated by giving analgesics. If sometimes stones are going to be formed because of infections, so their infections will be controlled by antibiotics or medical expulsion therapy, or stones will be broken by some of the shock waves, that is lithotripsy or endoscopic procedures. So stone will be broken into small pieces, and it will be passed through the kidney along with the urine. There is some risk factor which increases the chance of formation of stones. So first risk factor is high concentration of metabolic product into the glomerular filtrate. So if concentration amount of metabolic product will be more into the glomerular filtrate, it can be collected, it can be accumulated, it can be settled down into the kidney, and it can form stones. Second risk factor is change in the urine pH, because we know urine is slightly acidic because of acid presence. But if pH is going to be vary, depending on pH increase or pH decrease, the substances can be settled down, can be solidified, can be precipitated. So some substance will be precipitated if pH will increase, some substance will be precipitated if pH will be decrease. So if pH will vary, settlement, sedimentation of the components will increase. Third risk factor is urine stagnant. If we are not going to pass out urine very frequently whenever we require it, so we have to pass out. If urine will be collected into the urinary bladder and it will be stagnant there for more time, so components, salts which is present into the urine will settle down there into, and it can lead to the stone formations. There are some compounds, some molecules which inhibits the stone formations. If our body is having deficiency of those in stone inhibitor substances, so though there are some substances which inhibits the stone formation. So if we lack stone forming components, those substances means there are no inhibitors, so stone formations will take place. I will tell you the name of those substances also. And lastly, it is weather. Depending on weather, we are intake of water as well as the urine output is going to vary. Like in summer, we are taking too much amount of water. In winter, we are not taking too much amount of water. So depending on water concentration, water intake, our urine output is also going to change, and it affects the urine output and urine stagnation. Now, first, high concentration of metabolic product into the glomerular filtrate is due to this can cause because of low urine volume. So, if urinary volumes with normal renal function due to restricted fluid intake, if we are not going to take sufficient amount of fluids, so because fluid intake will be less, so fluid output will also be decreased. In that case, urine because fluid we are not going to take, so the concentrated filtrate will be more concentrated. When filtrate will be more concentrated, sedimentation will increase, output will decrease. Second one is increased fluid loss from the body. There are some number of either because of injury, because of accident, because of blood loss, because of some trauma. If we decrease because of vomiting, because of loose motions, if our body loss having sufficient amount of loss of water, fluids. So if fluid will be lost, the content which is present in our body, plasma, blood, or the glomerular filtrate will be more concentrated. Once it will be more concentrated, it will easily settle down there. Increased excretion of metabolic product forming stones. So increased excretion of metabolic products. So if we are going to have more metabolic product formations, it will leads to stone formations. High plasma volumes or high filtrate level. So if plasma volume will increase, that also increases the glomerular filtrate. High concentration will be there because as much as plasma will be there, that much amount of metabolic waste will reach to the kidney. So then urine stagnation is leads to it causes the super saturation of urine. If urine will be in the urinary bladder for long duration of time, it will lead to the supersaturation because water will be reabsorbed there. This urine stagnation may be due to obstruction in the urine flow. We are not going to have some urine output will be stopped or halted because of either some kind of swelling, some inflammation, some stones, or some other regions. So any kind of obstruction can leads to urine stagnations and some kind of psychological conditions like women's have more tendency to retain water into the urinary bladder because they are not usually pass urines very frequently. So urine stagnation will be more in case of women's. Second one is change in urine pH that may be due to bacterial infections. Like if we may have some kind of bacterial infections, those bacteria is going to metabolize the content present in the urine and some product will be released. That product might change the pH of the urine or some kind of precipitation of salts at different pH. This is the kind of classification you can call it. We'll talk about classification of stones slightly after some time. So if pH of urine will be acidic, in that case, these are the stones which is going to form. Like calcium oxalate stone is going to form at acidic pH. Uric acid stones is going to form at acidic pH. If pH will decrease, as uric acid stone will form. Amorphous urate stone will form. Leucine, that is amino acid, it will going to be settled down. Tyrosine or cysteine, these are the stones which are going to form at acidic pH. Alkaline pH, amorphous phosphate, triple phosphate, calcium carbonate, or ammonium biurate. These are the different stones which is going to form at alkaline pH. So, as stone formations occurs both as acidic pH as well as the alkaline pH. So, we need to maintain our pH at the normal value, that is 7.2 to 7.4. If pH will vary, pH will change, the either this type of stone will form or this type of stone will form. So the risks, these are the chances of stone formation will be there. Like there are some compounds we have talked about there which inhibits the stone forming processes, like citrate, pyrophosphate, glycoproteins, and magnesium inhibits growth of calcium phosphate and calcium oxalate crystal. So if we are having sufficient amount of citrate, for pyrophosphate, glycoproteins, these normally chelates calcium, so calcium phosphate and calcium oxalate crystal does not form in the presence of these compounds. So citrate, pyrophosphate, glycoproteins, and magnesiums are stone forming inhibitors. In type 1 renal tubular acidosis, hypercitraturia leads to renal stones. So there are different types of renal tubular diseases, acidosis. We will talk about that one also. In case of type 1 disorder, type 1 acidosis, hypocytriuria. Citriuria means less, hypo means less, citriuria means citric acid concentration will be decreased. So in case of type 1 renal tubular disorders, citric acid concentration decreases. Once citric acid concentration decreases, so because citric acid is the stone forming inhibitors, so less citric acid, so it leads to stone formations. Like these are the three important type of renal tubular acidosis. Acidosis means pH will decrease, and the main things which we should remember that is highlighted. It's type 1 occurs rarely, type 2 occurs very rarely, and type 4 is the most common type of things. Locations, acidosis occurs at mainly affecting the portion of collecting tubules in case of type 1, proximal distal proximal convoluted tubules in case of type 2, and adrenal glands in case of type 4. How it occurs? Type 1 occurs because of impaired hydrogen ion excretion. So we are unable to excrete hydrogen ion. So if we are unable to excrete hydrogen ion, so we have to retain into our body. Once it will retain into our body, means body will have more H plus, means it is acidosis conditions. In case of type 2, that is caused because of impaired bicarbonate reabsorption. So normally acid will be balanced, counterbalanced by bicarbonates. But if we are unable to reabsorb bicarbonate, so body will have less amount of bicarbonate, means more amount of H plus will be there. Because we are not going to take bicarbonate into our body, it will be excreted. So H plus will not be counterbalanced by bicarbonate and H plus will be more. So it is also acidosis only. In case of type 4, it is decrease in aldosterone secretion or their activity. So this is because of hormonal imbalance. In pH, if you see the pH in case of type 1, it is less than 5.5. Type 4, it is less than 5.4. Uh, it is 5.5. In case of type 1, it is more than 5.5. In case of type 2, it is more than 7 if plasma bicarbonate is normal, and it is less than 5.5 if plasma bicarbonate level is 15 milliequivalent per liter, which we are talking in our previous in stone forming inhibitors. There in we are talking about type 1 where citric acid was decreased. Now, the classification of stone depending on its chemical natures, we are having four important types of kidney stones. Yeah, calculi. Those are calcium stones, cysteine stones, uric acid stones, or magnesium ammonium phosphate stones, or it is also called as struvite stones. One another type of stones is that the other types we are calling it, that is uh, either taurine, tyrosine, leucine, or it will be xanthine. So these are other types of stones formation will be there. Otherwise, mainly we are going to talk about those top four: cysteine, calcium, uric acid, and struvite stones. Now, if you see the prevalence of the stones, in case of calcium, we are having two main type of calcium stones. One is calcium oxalate, other one is calcium phosphate. In calcium oxalate occur more than 70% of calculi calcium oxalate will be there. So maximum occurrence, maximum prevalent stones are calcium oxalate, which is caused because of hypercalciuria. Hyper means high amount, calciuria means calcium, urea means in urine. So more amount of calcium into the urine. So more calcium will be there, more chances of sedimentation forming the salts will be there. Hyperparathyroidism, more parathyroid hormone will be produced. Hypocytinuria means citric acid, which is inhibitors, it will be less, or renal tubular acidosis. So these are the conditions which normally increases the chances of calcium oxalate, which occurs in the 70% cases. Second stone is calcium phosphate, which occurrence is 15%, and there also it occurs because of some of the regions like hypercalciuria, hyperparathyroidism, hypocytinuria, and renal tubular acidosis. Cysteine. Cysteine is when two cysteine links by disulfide bond, it is called cysteines. Its occurrence will be only 2%, and that is mainly because of genetic defects. So it is cystinuria is the condition which leads to cystine stone formation. Magnesium ammonium phosphate or struvite stones, that occurrence will be 3% cases, and it is mainly because of bacterial infections which chelates urea into ammonia and carbon dioxide, and ammonia increases the alkaline nature. Uric acid stones are present in the 10% cases, and when urine pH will be less than 5.8 or 5.5. So these are the occurrence. Now this is kidney stones. Another type of classification we are going to see, that is kidney stones, which is having, there are some kind of risk factor, you can call it. Those risk factors are lifestyle, diet, climate, occupations, gender, epigenetics, gender, and ancestry. These are the risk factors. These are going to variation. It is going to lead to the stone formation, kidney stone formation. Now these kidney stones can be divided differently on the basis of how it going to form. First type of stone is uh, non-infectious stones, which is not going to cause because of any kind of infection. Second one is because of any kind of infections, and third one is on the basis of genetic defect. There are some factors which increases the stone formation processes. Those are called as uh, promoters, like sodium intake, dietary calcium, high acid value intake. Those are promoters. Citrate, magnesium, and some other components, those are called as inhibitors. These non-infectious stones are having three classes: calcium oxalate, calcium phosphate, and uric acid. The infectious stones, previously also I have told you, magnesium phosphate stones are caused because of bacterial infections. So that's why it is called as infection stones. And third one is genetic stones, which is called mainly because of genetic defect, that is cystine stones. Then we are having, this is the regions, what this is going to cause, why it is going to occur, like a hypercalciuria, oxaluria, or acidic urines. And this is the treatments, these are the medicines. So we are going to come to there, how it is going to occur and how it is going to be managed. So we'll talk one by one from there. Now these are the picture of some of the stones. Its size vary from few millimeter to few centimeters. So its size is going to vary. So the first stone is calcium salt stones. This calcium salt stone is roughly, if you'll see that its prevalence is more than 80% of the kidney stones is belonging to calcium. There are two types. Chemically, they are calcium oxalate. Most commonly, you have seen 70% cases calcium oxalate was there, or 55% cases it was calcium phosphate. So it is either calcium oxalate or calcium phosphate or calcium maleate. This type of salt formation mainly depends on urine pH. Uh, I have already told you there are some, either because of acidic condition or alkaline condition, stone formation will occur. So which type of stone formation will occur, either calcium oxalate or calcium phosphate, that depends on urine pH. If pH will be either one side, one kind of salt will form. If pH will be on other side, other type of salts will form. So it depends on urine pH and the presence of oxalate. If oxalate will be there, so preferentially it will be calcium oxalate will form. If oxalate is not there, then in that case calcium phosphate is going to be prevalent. Otherwise, mostly calcium oxalate salts forms. Its general appearance of this calcium salts will be white, hard, and radio opaque. If white, it is of white color, it will be hard, and it will be opacity will be there. So radio waves, radio light cannot be transmit from, it cannot cross it, so it will be radio opaque. Calcium phosphate is staghorn in renal pelvis in large, and calcium oxalate normally present in ureter in a small amount. If we'll say the cause, etiological features of calcium salt stone is because of hypercalciuria. Hypercalciuria means high amount of calcium into the urine. So it is increased urine calcium excretions. In case of men, it's if it is more than 7.5 millimole per day, it is called as hypercalciuria. In women, it will be if it is more than 6.2 millimole per day, it will be hypercalciuria. It may or it may not be related to hypercalcemia, means even in our blood we will have normal calcium value, but in kidney we can have hypercalciuria. So it is may related or it may not be due to hypercalcemia. Second condition is hyperoxaluria, means more amount of oxalic acid will be there. So it is excessive urinary excretion of oxalate. It leads can be because of uh, it causes the formation of calcium oxalate without high amount of calcium. Even we don't have too much amount of calcium, but if oxalate will be there, calcium we are having sufficient amount in our body, that can form calcium oxalate salts. If we are going to eat a diet, a food which is rich in oxalates, it can lead to calcium oxalate formations. Or uh, there are some kind of foods we are going to take which increases oxalate absorption in the fat malabsorption. Some kind of defects will be there, some kind of normal features will be there. More amount of oxalate will be absorbed, that is also going to cause high amount of oxalate availability, and it leads to calcium oxalate salt formations. Third one is primary hyperoxaluria. So primary hyperoxaluria, it is an involved error of defects where urine oxalate या oxalic acid excretion will be more than 400 millimole per day. So these are the three important reasons for calcium salt formations. These are the different pictures of calcium salts, calcium stones. This calcium salt stones can be treated by whatever the regions will of this causing of etiological features of this stone is there. So first treat those causative regions, etiological features, like if it is because of infections or because of high amount of calcium or because of high amount of oxalic acid. So treat those features first. So if you treat those things, automatically stone formation will be decreased. So we should increase, or we should suggest a person who is having some kind of kidney stones, they should eat oxalate restricted diets, means eat less amount of food which is having oxalic acid in sufficient amount. So less oxalic acid content food has to be taken. Second, there are some kind of foods which contains high amount of oxalic acids like potato chips, peanuts, chocolates, betel, and spinach. So we should avoid these high oxalic acid containing foods as well as. We should also increase the fluid intake. If we take more fluid inside our body, more urine output will be there. Chances of excretion of stones will be that much. So we should take too much amount of water. Maximum stones we have seen it was in because of alkaline regions. So if acidification of urine will be done by because of dietary changes, by dietary food habit changes, if acidification can be will be done, so stone formation will be slowed down or it will be decreased, because most of the calcium stones are formed in alkaline urine. Now second stone is uric acid stones. About 8% of the renal stones contains uric acid. So this uric acid stone is more common in men than in women. It may be associated with hyperuricemia. If body will have more amount of uric acid in their blood, so it have high amount of chances of getting uric acid stones. Even they have got or they don't have got. So got is a different issue, but high amount of uric acid presence in the blood can leads to uric acid stone formations. Several products of urine metabolism are relatively insoluble and can precipitate when urine pH is low. So, like when urine pH is very low, it forms in a strong acidic condition. So, urine pH is low means a low amount of pH. Low pH means acidic conditions. So, when acidic condition will be there, in that case, number of purine metabolites are insoluble. In that case, it means settled down. It can form salts. These purine metabolites are 2 or 8 dihydroxy adenine, adenine itself, xanthine or uric acid. These are the products which accumulates which are insoluble at acidic pH. The general appearance of uric acid salts are small, friable and yellowish. It may form staghorn like southern Australian ferns. It is radiolucent, plain X-ray cannot cross it, and it will be visualized by ultrasound IV pyelogram. This is Australian staghorns, Australian ferns, which looks like the uric acid stone, and this is uric acid stone. So if you see the structural similarity, it look like a staghorn. Pathophysiology is uric acid is a very weak acid and having the ionization constant, that is pKa of 5.8. So this is uric acid which is converted into uh, these structures. In these structures, if will increase, if will give, it releases H plus and it will be ionized forms. Now at pH level below the pKa, its pK value is 5.8. If pH you are going to decrease less than 5.8, it means the predominant form is non-ionizable form, means non-ionizable form is predominant at pH less than 5.8. It means these non-ionizable forms are less soluble than the ionized forms. So this is less soluble. Less soluble means it is going to be settled down, going to be precipitated. It means whenever body pH, blood pH or urine pH is going decrease, going to down less than the 5.8, it means these compounds is going to form stones. So it will be settled down. So urate ion predominates forms at the pH of 7.54 are about 5% protein bonds. I have already told you this forms non-ionized forms is below 5.8. If we will increase 5.8, then these forms will be predominant. This urate is filtered at the glomerulus. The renal tubules can reabsorb and secrete it. Now, there are number of complexities associated with uric acid stones. The complex complications of renal stone disease includes renal failures, infections, pain, that is unbearable pains, urinary tract infections, obstructions, renal colic, hematuria, blood means blood will come into the urine, pallor, vomiting, sweating, nausea, and insomnia. These are the different signs and symptoms. If surgical intervention is necessary, surgical complications also can occur. Like some, if we have done surgery, it may get infections, it may get contaminations. So those different kind of abnormality, different kind of situations, different kind of conditions which is associated with surgery, that will be there. That possibility is there. So mortality and morbidity are not increased with uric acid stones compared with other stones. Means uric acid does not have high rate of mortality and morbidity when we are going to comparing. However, the process that leads to excess uric acid productions may cause death, like malignancy, Lenihan syndromes, and other things. Children may experience frequent bouts of pain and gross hematuria due to frequent uric acid stones. The treatment of uric acid stones are protein-rich diet has to be taken. So diet rich in purine can increase the urine's acid level. So if acid level will decrease, again non-ionizable forms will be settled down there. So purine is a colorless substance in animal proteins such as fish, shellfish, and meats. So we should take protein restricted diets. Second treatment of uric acid stones is alkalination. We have seen if pH level will go down, it means the non-ionizable forms will be predominant and it will be settled down. So if we have to avoid all those things, so we have to increase the pH of urine. So if urine will be alkalized, it means no uric acid stone will form. And the last one is increase fluid intake, means if we have to take more fluid so that more urine output will be there. If more urine output will be there, it means the stone can pass out. So these are some of the pictures of uric acid stones. You can see its size is varying in different size. Third category of stone is magnesium ammonium phosphate stones. This roughly we have said 10% of the all the kidney stones are belonging to this category, and this is also called as struvite kidney stones. It is commonly present in the women with urinary tract infections because if infections will be there, it can lead to magnesium ammonium phosphate stones. This stone can be large and cause urinary obstructions. How it is going infection is going to cause this kind of stones is microorganisms such as Proteus genus, which metabolizes urea and gives us ammonia plus carbon dioxide. So this ammonia makes urine alkaline. So once urine will be alkaline, it can increase the stone formations. So causing urine pH to become alkaline and stone formation will be there. So commonly it was associated with staghorn calculi. 75% of staghorn stones are of struvite types. The treatment is first treat those infections, which is going to convert urea into ammonia and carbon dioxide. So already if we treat the infections, it can treat this stone formation also. Second one is because urine is going to be alkalized because of ammonia presence. So the treatment is urine should be acidification can be done. So if urine acidification will be done by food intake or some other processes, this stone formation will be stopped. And the ultimate thing is increased fluid intake. This is the picture of magnesium ammonium phosphate stones. Fourth one is cystine stones. It is a rare type of kidney stones, occurs both in men and women who have genetic disorder of homozygous cystinuria. So it forms in acidic conditions because this cysteines is soluble in alkaline urine. So once urine will be acidic, it will be settled down, it will be precipitated. It is faint radio opaque in the nature, opacity will be there, and it is in treatment will be done by increased fluid intake. So all the four kind of stones can be treated by more in water intake, more fluid intake, because it forms in acidic natures. So alkalization of urine can be the one of the treatment. One of the compound that is penicillamine, which we take, that binds with cysteines to form a compound which is more easily soluble. Like in acidic conditions, this is not going to be soluble. So if we'll take penicillamine, which binds with cysteines and make them more soluble, so it will be soluble and it will be passing out from the kidney. So this is a picture of cystine stones. Now we'll see the risk factor for the kidney stones. The greatest risk factor for kidney stone is making less than 1 liter of urine per day. So if urine stagnation will be there because of different reasons, either some obstruction is there, we are unable to intake water, we are not having too much of fluid inside our body. So whatever reasons will be there, if we are going to make less amount of less amount of urine, it is the main risk factor for kidney stone formations. So this is why kidney stone is more commonly in premature infants who is unable to have excrete urine because of some kind of kidney abnormality. Kidney stones are more likely to occur between the age of 20 to 40 years. Typically, Caucasians are more likely to have kidney stones than African Americans because of their food habits and geographical locations. Gender also play a role, with more men and than women developing kidney stones. A history of kidney stones can increase your risk, as does a family history of kidney stones. Other risk factors are like dehydration, if body does not have sufficient amount of water, liquid, obesity, high protein, salt or glucose diet, hyperparathyroid conditions, gastric bypass surgery, means absorption, will be affected. Inflammatory bowel disease that increases calcium absorptions, and taking medicines such as diuretics, anti-seizure drugs, and calcium-based antacids. These are the different conditions which helps kidney stone formation. These are the different risk factors. It's not like that one. If we will have these things, we will have kidney stones. But these are the increase the chances, increase the risk of kidney stone formations. For calcium stone, the risk factors vary by populations. Like the main risk factor in the US is hypercalciuria. If more calcium into the urine, chances of kidney calcium stones will be more in case of USA. Like that is a hereditary conditions. 50% of men and 75% of women. Sorry, 75% of women with calcium calculi is having hypercalciuria. Hypocytriuria, like citric acid was the one of the inhibitors. So if less amount of citric acid will be there in our body, which does not allow. So if you are having less amount of citric acid, means no inhibitors will be there, means stone formations can take place. Normally, this citric acid binds with calcium. So if calcium will be binds with citric acid and forms calcium citrate, means that calcium is not available for the formation of calcium phosphate or calcium oxalate salts. In that case, chances of sedimentation will be less. So we need citric acid in our body. If less citric acid will be there, chances of stone formation will be there more. About 5 to 8% of calculi are caused by renal tubular acidosis. We have already seen there are different types of renal tubular acidosis. About 1 to 2% of patients with calcium calculi have primary hyperparathyroidism also. Rare cause of hypercalciuria are sarcoidosis, vitamin D intoxication, hyperthyroidism, multiple myeloma, metastatic cancers, and hypoxaluria. These can lead to hypercalciuria. Second main reason is hyperoxaluria. If body will have too much amount of oxalic acids, either because of taking too much amount of oxalic acid containing foods or oxalic acid, more absorption will be there. It leads to hyperoxalic acid, and more oxalic acid leads to more calcium oxalate salt formation. High dose of vitamin C, which is a calcium restricted diet, possibly because of dietary calcium binds dietary oxalate. So if we are having more amount of calcium and mild hyperuricosuriia, which leads to stone formations. Uric acid calculi, the most commonly develops as a result of increased uric acid condition, that is less than 5.5 or 5.8, that is less than pKa value, with rarely with severe hyperuricosuriia. Urinary uric acid will be more than 1500 milligram per day, which crystallize undissociated uric acid. If pH will be less than 5.5, means unionized uric acid will be there, and unionized uric acid will be less soluble, so it will be settled down. Cysteine calculi occurs only in the presence of cystinuria. Magnesium ammonium phosphate calciums, that is steroid, mainly because of UTI infections by urea splitting bacteria, the bacteria which causes urea splitting, that is Proteus and Klebsiella mainly. The calculi must be treated as infected foreign bodies and removed by there entirely. Unlike other types of calculi, magnesium ammonium phosphate calculi occurs 3 times more frequent in women because of more chances of infection is going to occur in women. That's why calcium phosphate oxalate phosphate occurs in more in women than men. These are some of the inhibitors of kidney stones like citrate, magnesium pyrophosphate. These are the inhibitors and these are the promoters. So these things normally promote stone formation. These things normally inhibits stone formation. So we need this one in less amount. We need this one in high amount in our body. Symptoms are it causes severe pain. Symptoms of kidney stones may occur until when stones moves down to the ureter. This severe pain is called renal colic. The pain of renal colic comes and goes but can be intense. Even people can be restless and lastly it can be death can occur. Sorry. Other symptoms of kidney stones can include blood in the urine. It can be red, it can be pink, it can be brown urine depending on the different type of hemolysis and other things. It can lead to vomiting and nausea, frequent urinations, uh, urinating a small amount of urine because it is not easily. Urine is going to form, urine is going to out, chills and fever will be there. It can be investigated. Diagnosis of kidney stones can be done by blood test for calcium, phosphate, uric acid, or some of the electrolytes. Blood urea, nitrogen, and creatinine can give you how kidney behaves, how kidney functions. Then urine analysis can be checked for crystals, bacteria, or blood or white cell formations. And if a stone is going to be passed out, that their chemical nature can be also examined. The following test can rule out obstructions like abdominal X-ray we can be done, by which we can find out obstruction is there or not. Then intravenous pyelogram, retrograde pyelograms, ultrasound of the kidney, MRI of the abdomen and kidney, and anatomical CT scan. So these are the different tests which can gives you any kind of obstructions into the urine route. If a stone has formed and removed, the chemical analysis of a stone helps us to identify the cause, because which type of stones are there and why it's going to cause. So we will understand the etiology of the stone formation, and patient will be advised for their prevention in the future. If a stone has not formed, not excreted, so this type of investigation identify causes that may contribute to the stone formations, like serum calcium and uric acid analysis, urine analysis for the volumes, for calcium presence, oxalate presence, cystine level, pH of the urine. If it is more than 8, it suggests urinary tract infections. Magnesium phosphate, ammonium phosphate salts will more. Urinary tract imaging, ultrasound, and pyelograms. These are the stones which can be even broken by different kind of ultrasonic waves. Once ultrasonic waves will be there, kidney will be broken into small pieces, and that will be passed out through the along with the urine. So that's all for today. Hope you have understand it. If you have any query, any comments, you can write in the comment box. If you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe it. If you like the video, press the like button. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.